So, hi. I think everybody heard that voice then. So, yeah, hi, I'm Alex, and welcome to the Fourth World Congress of Psychogeography 2021. So this is our first event from one of our contributors, and it's by Patrick and Nina, Experience Mapping. So it's going to last for about 30 minutes. It may end a little bit sooner. If you could all just mute your microphone, unless our hosts tell you otherwise, then that'll help keep it simple. They are recording it. You've already been told that it's being recorded, and there'll be a bit of time at the end for any questions and answers. So over to you, Patrick and Nina.
Okay, thank you. So welcome everybody, first of all. This session is basically an introduction to the experience mapping project we came up with. And it involved participation throughout the weekend. So this session is basically an introduction, a short introduction to it, and asking if you were interested, you could participate in that. So this is not the activity itself, or maybe it is. So let me share the presentation first, if I can do that, and then it'll make a little bit more sense, hopefully. So is that visible?
Good.
Can everybody see that?
Okay, I think we can start.
Yeah, okay, hopefully you can all see that. So again, experience mapping created by Nina and I, and for this this year's Fourth World Congress, the theme is playing out. So we were essentially wanted to create a map, and I've been interested in maps, or rather I should say I've been drawn towards maps. It wasn't a deliberate choice. I was doing a project. We were previously living in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon as it was known before 1975, and named after the river. And I started walking the local streets and basically trying to get to know the area. We were new to the area. So I was walking the streets each day, trying to become familiar, build up a mental map, if you like, of the area. And I started making notes of interesting things I saw. And then I was introduced to an app called City Palette for collecting ambient colors around different places. So it takes a photograph, presents a series of choices, and then you can select one or more of the photographs to store from that particular location. So as I was building it up, which was the latest stage in a series of digital prints I was working on. So they looked quite similar to this one on the right, apart from the colors. There were black and white blocks arranged in a grid loosely based on a particular environment or a suggested environment. This time it was a very particular environment. So the streets around there were very rectilinear, very regular grid system as they were laid out. So what I did was I took a photograph at each of the locations. There were 34 locations, intersections of the roads. And I took a photograph using the app and selected a particular color. So straight away down at the bottom of the page here, the hybrid method, I put this because it wasn't exactly all through my own choices. I relinquished some of the choices by the technology to the app. So the app came up with a set of potential colors, and then I overrode that with making the final choice from that short list of colors. Each time I collected a color, I would look around the streets and try to decide which color I felt represented that area the most. And when I got back to the studio, I put the colors back into their correct locations on this map, and I made some adjustments at the end. So this is I described it here as being like a conscious image refinement, so some kind of poetic license, if you like. If I felt that the image wasn't balanced. So at that stage, it became more about resolving the image. So then I made a further set of decisions to make minor adjustments, quite small, maybe moving one grid up or one grid across, one grid down if I felt it was better balanced. So there was like a series of steps in the whole process. So this map was the first time I dealt with a map in this way. Last year for the Congress, I was very interested in how it was arranged. It was all online, and this map was used, like a graphic representation of the different buildings there at Huddersfield. And I thought it was quite interesting how you could click on each of these locations. So I thought this was like another connection there with the mapping process. And last year, I screened a recorded video I made from a performance, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. This particular one was recorded in Sydney on the Hickson Steps, which is just underneath the bridge.
Right. So, Patrick, can you just do you mind to share with us? I mean, these two performance. So, what the different or similarity of these two different performance projects?
Oh, you mean the No Holiday, yes, and the 1 step?
Yes.
Right. So the No Holiday performance is basically a performance in which I'm on a journey, hoping I'm traveling to an imagined holiday. The premise of the performance is that whenever we go on holiday, we choose a particular destination we think will be interesting, relaxing, stimulating, exciting, whatever draws us to that. But the process of getting there is often the opposite of that. It's not very enjoyable. We have to go through passport controls, airports, railway stations, carrying our baggage, and there's not much enjoyable about that kind of process. So in my performance, I kind of prolong the traveling to the holiday destination, and I never actually arrive. So I made the first performance. I was thinking that would be it. It would be a self-contained performance. However, it seems to have developed a life of its own, and now it's kind of extended into many episodes. The 1 step forward, 2 steps back performance. This is it's another kind of journey, if you like. A lot of these are based upon the myth of Sisyphus, so that there's an intention, almost like you're trapped in a mechanism, a process, and you're trying to resolve it, and there seems to be, it's kind of cyclical. So you always or you often end up back where you belong, and there seems to be no forward progress. Although there is progress, it doesn't seem to take you forward in the end. Mm-hmm. So in that performance, as I say, there are sets of steps. I take 1 step forward. Each time that I am compelled to take 2 steps backwards. So instead of completing the staircase, I end up at the bottom at the very beginning again. So they're both journeys, if you like, but I never reached the destination. So this could be the linking part to those two performances.
Patrick, I got one question. Can we go back to the blue lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, I can see a lot vertical line, horizontal, and vertical line. So can you tell me what's the meaning of this line? How you integrate and how you apply to this mapping?
Oh, these are the cross hatchings here on the squares.
Right.
Well, previous to this digital print, I had been I made a series of works, prints, drawings, sculptures, based upon observations of the way landscape is created. So this would be top layer, if you like, the layer which is has been interfered with the most by human activity, and I created a layering process to represent various levels of developments, lesser or more, depending on the circumstances. So it was quite abstract in a way. It was a kind of a graphic representation of a particular human constructed landscape. And at the time, I used either whether it's a vertical line, horizontal, diagonal, I use these as like a sign representing a certain level. So perhaps the horizontal lines, that would be one layer thick, the verticals maybe two, and so on. If they're going from top right to bottom left, it would be three perhaps, and the opposite would be four. So this was just a way of exploring the different levels and representing them graphically. But in this one, we started adding the colors. So this brings an element of reality to it, if you like. It is tied into a particular location, whereas the previous ones weren't. But the interesting about the colors is, although it's a map, it relates directly to the location in terms of the streets and the intersections. If you went there, you may not see the same color. Sometimes the color was generated from a delivery vehicle. Sometimes it was a particular tree that was in bloom. The certain colored blossoms would be picked up by the app. Sometimes it was advertising which would come and go. So the colors are not static. Some of them are permanent. Some of them are very transient. I think that's the interesting thing about it.
Yeah.
So on to our project for this year. So what we wanted to do was, instead of creating a map of a physical location, a particular specific location, I wanted to create a map, or we wanted to create a map of the experience that people had while they were participating in the Congress. So whether they're there in person or they're online. So perhaps their computer is in the living room. They may go to the kitchen to make a drink. Then they go back to the living room. They log on and attend an event. This is also a kind of journey.
Right.
Okay. During the allotted time. So it's during the weekend.
Right. So can I just ask, for the specific geometrical location, so do we have any limitation? It must be outdoor, or can we do it inside the building or some area?
Well, no, I mean, as we were just saying, I think it's perfectly feasible. A journey is a journey, whether that's from one town, a train journey to Huddersfield, a walk through the city to the university or to another location, or it's from the living room to the kitchen, to the study, into the garden perhaps. This is also a journey, long or short. They are all journeys which can be recorded. I created this image on the right to kind of represent the process. So there are a series of photographs, and there's a graphic representation overlaying them. This was taken from a map of Huddersfield, incidentally. So how to participate? So the idea is, as you travel to or from any of the events, or if walking is part of one of the events, that could be a journey in itself. We're just asking you to take one or two photographs along the way at some point when you feel the urge to do that. We'd like you to note down what activity is suggested to you at that moment. That could be it could be some kind of serious thought that's provoked by the activity you're involved in. It could be something funny or playful. There may be something unusual that you've observed that could stimulate this idea. Some kind of observation that you could note down. So we have a photograph, the time and date it was taken, and then some kind of observation like that, which would be inserted into the map if possible. And all the submitted data will be combined into the graphic map that represents the collective experience as a virtual location. And then what we intend to do is to combine all of this information graphically. So there'll be certain transformation that takes place from the photographs into the maps. and then we will email out a PDF copy of the final version. So this is where we are asking you to send the photographs to the email address patrickS4@live.com. Between these times, so the activity takes place during the duration of the Congress, so we will use that as the scope of our project. Please, although you're sending it from an email address, if you prefer the final version to be sent to a different email address, you could note that. And then all of our findings, along with the finished map, will be posted on our project location page, which is the experience mapping on the website there. So what we will do, we will collate all the information into chronological order, because it represents a kind of a journey through the map. So we will lay all the photographs out and then combine them into a journey, whether it's a left turn, a right turn, over the hill, under the underpass, wherever it goes, up the staircase. We will follow this journey. So there's a lot of unknown with this, which we find very exciting. The journey and the map depends on what is sent to us. So there's an element of chance, risk involved in that. So we don't know what we are going to receive. So this is the exciting part, the part which is quite very stimulating. So as a recap there, we'd like you to send the photographs, time and date, the suggested activity or the observation. Please send it to this address. And then we will try to create this virtual map of the location. And that's it. Tomorrow, there will be a plenary session at the end of the day, and we are hoping that we could make a report on the information that we've sent, the progress and how the process has gone so far. And also, if we've noticed any trends with the photographs that we've received, anything which stands out in that, the type of photographs, the type of activity, or even the type of descriptions which we have received, we will be able to make some commentary on that, we are hoping. Okay, so this is the introduction. I hope that we've explained it well enough for people to participate. So does anybody have any questions about this process, or is anything perhaps that we haven't explained clearly, or anything you don't understand, or why are you doing it this way, why not this way, something like this? We would be very interested in receiving that commentary.
Hi, Patrick.
Yes, hello.
I'm Billy. I'm down as Elspeth. I've got to change my name to Billy. Yes, I was really fascinated by your grid, and I'll tell you why, because it reminds me, I'm a weaver, and it reminds me of a weaving pattern. And I thought it would be really interesting to translate your map into a weave, which could be done quite easily on an inkle loom.
Well, it's very interesting you say this. If the same website, which contains our project mapping page, also contains information to a collaborative exhibition Nina and I put on while we were in Ho Chi Minh City. That digital print actually did become fabric print.
Right.
So I'm amazed you picked up on that. It's very astute.
No, well, I saw it. It's what if you're following a pattern on a weave, that is how it will be presented to you.
Yes. In the analysis of the fabric print, I did allude to the fact that as I was walking up and down the streets, I actually felt like a shuttle on a loom, backwards and forwards through the landscape, building up the overall pattern. So, yeah, that's exactly right.
Is there an image of the material from this exhibition? Where can I find it?
If you go to the website patrickS4.com, there is a section called Weaving Experience into Memory.
Right.
And this details the whole exhibition from the beginning process through to the final exhibition, the collection. Yeah.
Great.
We printed it we tried it in 2 different ways. I've disappeared from, oh, there I am. Yeah. We tried sublimation print, which is used on man-made fibers. And they print the colors onto a sheet of paper, and then the paper is taken through a hot roller with the fabric, and the colors are transferred onto the fabric. We also tried a direct to garment printing, which is like an inkjet process, which is mostly used for natural fibers. So we had to explore different types of printing. And in Vietnam, we found an amazing, there were 2 companies who were doing this printing, and they allowed us to experiment. It was just incredible, the freedom they gave us to experiment with the process, the printing process, and what can be achieved and what couldn't be achieved. What are the limitations of the process? And we're hoping to take what we found during that and continue to develop it in the future. But the first step is all detailed on the exhibition. Yeah. On the website, yeah.
Maybe I can supplement more information. The whole printing we applied in different material. So the first one we try to apply in polyester material, visco rayon material, and also we try to apply to, like the silk, chiffon, cotton, linen, a different type of, the material we are doing it. So it's quite interesting. So we are happy that you can go to the website, look at it, and then can drop some feedback and comment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing was the grid. I'm fascinated by the grid because I'm quite interested as a weaver to break out of the grid. And I was thinking about the walking and the grid of the walk, that if you're somewhere where there is no grid, it's a very different way of mapping.
Yes.
So yeah, I saw the grid, and because that is, to me, is the challenge, is to break away from the grid.
Yeah, it was very site specific, the first one. It just happened to be the neighborhood where we were living in the city, District 7. There were certain elements of it which attracted us. For example, running through the middle of the grid, there was one wide road which looked incredibly busy with fast cars, fast vehicles, and yet it only took about 200 or 300 meters, and then it just stopped suddenly. It just didn't seem to make any sense. Yeah. There were several unusual qualities about the area which drew us to study this area, but the very strict type grid system was determined completely by the location, the site-specific location. So if we chose another place in the future, we would be drawn in a different direction as we built up the information.
Because I'm from South America, and all the cities are planned in a grid.
Yeah.
And when I came to live in the UK, I found it really disorientating. People used to talk about it's 7 blocks away, it's 10 blocks away. In the UK, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very interesting, right? So you can apply in different location, city, country, right?
Yeah, many cities in the UK, they still have a medieval route to the center of the cities where all the streets are kind of followed a particular pattern as they were developed and they grew up. And sometimes on the outskirts, then they have a grid system which they have attached to that. So there are different zones. So we could perhaps explore that in the future too, that change in approach.
Yeah. I was in Cornwall and I visited a new town development called, it's not Llandudno, no, that's in Wales. It's Llanledden. Right. And it's the concept is to develop a new town outside of Newquay. And it was quite an interesting experience being led around it, because it was almost like a Disneyfication of a city, of a town, because it was fabricated. They're using natural materials, trying to replicate things that can last for 100 years. Very beautifully done, sensitive to climate change. But it was still a very odd experience.
Yeah.
Is it? Sorry, guys. It's we're nearly at 10:30.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that the next session is Blake to Benjamin with Simon Cole, and I guess if people want to stay on this one, then feel free, because there's obviously a good chat going on. And like Patrick said, in our plenary session tomorrow, we've actually, hopefully we'll see quite a lot of the responses. Yeah, just to remind everybody that enjoy this weekend. It's the whole program is sourced by all of our contributors. It's entirely free, and if you're able to give a bit of money via the Ko-fi, the coffee thing, then please help if you can. And yeah, so there's lots going on social media. We'll share some of the slides from this session with some of the instructions as well, and just keep on sharing all of your stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So thank you. Thanks a lot for that, Patrick and Nina. Brilliant, really interesting.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Alan. I'm just looking through the chat here.
Yeah, those two films, it'd be good if you could maybe tweet them, or the two on YouTube that you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah,
I'll and if you've got any kind of, I took some screenshots of your graphics as well, so we can send a couple of those out on Twitter and Instagram, just to encourage people to take part. But if also you've got some other stuff, then send it out and tag the Twitter profile, the type Psychojog, then we can send it out to people as well.
Yeah, I'm just putting some YouTube links so people could see the performance.
Great.
Title also.
Yeah, this one.
Oh yeah,
that's one of them, and then the other one.
Okay, thanks.
Which one? Oh, it was this one.
Yeah.
This was the one from last year, yes.
The reading experience.
Yeah.
Interview from the YouTube interview.
Yeah, that's Bill. That's the two that you mentioned.
Yeah. And then this is the
Type the name.
The link.
Oh yeah. The thing that Billy asked you about.
Yes. All right. Was there another one? Oh, this one, which is is it this one?
Yeah.
Which is,
Big event.
sorry. Yes, this one is was the interview on well, a short piece on Vietnamese television related to the exhibition. Okay, so
Well,
yeah,
we'll save those, and then great. Yeah, and thanks for keeping it nice and keeping it really short and concise as well. So it looks, I'm intrigued to see what comes out at the end.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoy activities when I don't know the outcome. I go into them and I'm thinking, is this going to work or not? There's an element of risk and chance.
Yeah,
I find that incredibly exciting.
I kind of did that with my house this year and it didn't end up well. So it had to be rescued by somebody who knew what they were doing and it ended up being more expensive. But
Oh.
this is a different affair, I think. So
Yeah, well, thank you very much to everyone for attending, and I hope I'm looking forward to seeing some of the photographs which come back, you know, from the event, to see a different take on the event, you know, a different side of it, kind of the in-between sections, the liminal spaces, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks. See you later on.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.